Welcome to Going Down the Line. I'm Steven from Virginia, and that's Chase Gilmer, and we're here to talk Baylor football again.
Yeah, let's do it after a gritty win.
So Baylor beat Oklahoma State 45 to 27. Chase, instant reaction. How did you feel after that game?
Uh where do I even start? I mean, first off, I'm glad we won. Um, but when it comes to what happened in the first half, man, that just cannot happen against a team like Oklahoma State. Um, I mean, I thought the offense played okay. They did what they were supposed to do, but the defense was just that just is unacceptable. Giving up over 350 total yards in one half to a team that, mind you, they only scored 12 points the week prior against Tulsa. That cannot happen. Um, I did think the second half was better. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the second half, but that's fine. But based on what I've heard, the both sides of the ball was a bit better. No, but it still wasn't like enough for me to feel good about the win. But to see what we did in the second half is, it did make me feel a little bit better. But overall, we should have played much better than we did.
Really disappointed in how we came out in the first half. That first half was back and forth. A lot of trick plays by Oklahoma State kept them in the game. Um, Thought that we kind of settled in the second half and made some adjustments and played better. I think that this year's Baylor football team is going to be in a lot of shootouts. And I think that all year we're going to be searching for the defense to be better. And it's possible that that might lose them another game or two this year. Um,
Yeah. I will say this. I think at this point, I mean, I know we're not halfway through the season, but we're close. I think the defense is what it is at this point, and
mhm.
I don't think there's really any way that we can adjust it for this season. I will say at the bare minimum, though, I hate having to have people's jobs on the line, but at a bare minimum, I mean, we might need to just make a defensive coordinator change this offseason. And I know what people are going to think. That people are going to say, man, this will be the sixth different coordinator that Dave Aranda has gone through. I get that is pretty frustrating. But when you think about it like this, when your defense is playing the way that they have been, you need to make a change sooner rather than later. I mean, it hasn't been great since Matt Palich was the defensive coordinator. In fact, it hasn't even been that good since Dave Aranda took the play calling. So while I do understand that, at some point you have to look at, what's been going on and think, Dave Aranda is probably the problem. If we keep winning games, there's no way he's going to get fired. So really, it's at that point you have to make a change at coordinator. Maybe not halfway through the season, but it's probably season's end.
I also, during the broadcast, they talked about how Baylor was third in the Big 12 in most missed tackles. Tackling is one of the most basic elements of football, and if we can't tackle, we're not going to be able to defend, and that's really disappointing. And
I
that
think that's a strength and conditioning issue. In all honesty,
I just think that that keeps being an issue. There's been a number of years where tackling has been an issue, and like you eventually got to make some kind of changes and not just do the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
yeah, that's the definition of insanity right there. Yeah, but I again, I don't really think there's really any way for us to even make any um improvement on the defense this year. I think it is what it is. I think a big microcosm of how this defense is played this year is those back-to-back dropped picks that we had in the first half. The first one for Devin Bobby, that was a hard one. But the one that Caden Jenkins almost picked off, I mean, that should have been a pick. It's like this defense is not strong enough to create turnovers, so we're really having to rely on our offense. Which to transition into that a little bit. I mean, I was really impressed with how Sawyer Robertson played, um, given that he was it wasn't a bad game for him last week, or sorry, the week prior against Arizona State. But I mean, he played at the same level he did the first 2 games of the season, last week against an opponent that he should be doing that against. He had over 300, if I'm not mistaken, he had over what, 350 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So he's leading the entire nation in both those categories. So as long as our offense continues to play well, as long as our offense continues to put points on the board, maybe the bad defense won't matter. It is frustrating that might have to play shootout games throughout the rest of the season, but as long as we keep winning, I think that's really all that matters at this point.
Right. And I think when your quarterback is among the best in the country, you have a chance to win more shootout games than not.
Yeah. Um, I don't understand why Robertson is not being considered for the Heisman. I get that wins matter, but he again is leading the entire nation in those in passing yards and passing touchdowns. I mean, the Heisman Trophy, although hasn't really been the case much in the 2020s, I mean, it's been mainly a quarterback award. So to see the numbers that Robertson's putting up and not at least have him within the top 5 of Heisman contention is it's kind of a travesty to the sport, in my opinion. You have to have someone with that kind of caliber of quarterback production up there.
Yeah, I would caution to say that we're still early in the season, so there's still opportunities if the Bears keep winning. Say if the Bears finish 10-2 and Sawyer leads the country in passing touchdowns and passing yards, I wouldn't be surprised if he's invited to New York. Um, I have a hard time seeing him win it, but he should be considered for sure.
At this point, I think it's gonna be Dante Moore, but yeah, he needs to be considered. Dante Moore is the Oregon quarterback.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Uh, but yeah. Again, as long as we just keep winning those kind of games, I don't think it's gonna matter what the defense does. I mean, obviously there has to be some change made. I do think the one thing that really irritates me about that though, and I saw this on a comment on the Sikkim 365 forums on a post made by Travis Rader, former um uh he was a former editor for that Sikkim 365. Someone had mentioned that I think the frustrating part about this team is that, we've really only had one good defensive season under Aranda, and that was obviously 2021. I know we keep coming back to that, but I mean that's kind of the standard that we have to put on a team that has a defensive minded head coach. So everything has just gone downhill since then. I mean, I would probably tend to make the argument that uh, last year's defense was better than the season prior, as well as maybe this year's as well. But it just still isn't good enough for this type of team that should be playing better defense. Um, so yeah, I I I I do think, something needs to be done soon. So, but whether or not it's halfway through the season or it's at the end of the season, I don't know.
Well, and I'm thinking we're starting to get into the "we are who we are" portion of the season where there's not much that can really be done to change. I mean, I thought Caleb Burns played really well. I thought there were some guys on the defense that looked all right. I thought that there was some freshmen that stepped up in this game. Michael Turner played really well on the offensive side of the ball. I think we're getting to a point where some guys are going to have to start stepping up if Baylor's going to keep winning. And if they don't, we won't keep winning. But for now, I was encouraged by the second half. I thought that they played much better in the second half. I thought that Oklahoma State was pretty out of it by the fourth quarter. In a lot of ways, Baylor wore them out for 3 quarters, and the fourth quarter was theirs. But at the same time, I certainly was hoping for a little bit of a better performance on defense, especially after how inept Oklahoma State looked against Tulsa.
Yeah, and how well they played against Arizona State, Baylor's defense.
Right. Yeah. And I had thought that was a, a turn the corner type game. And I just think we're going to be kind of up and down with the defense this year. There's only so much improvement I think I really expect to see. And that's part of me just trying to have realistic expectations.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you on that. I do think there are some bright spots in the defense. I think Caleb Burns is playing pretty well. I'd say, no pun intended, burn his red shirt for this season and just let him play throughout the rest of the year. Keaton Thomas is leading the team in tackles. He's, I think, within the top like 15 in tackles. So we talked about how bad the tackles were, so it's good to see that. It's great seeing Jackie Marshall and DK Kalu play, given the injuries that they've sustained earlier in the season, and they've been playing decently well. But obviously, we need more from our defensive, really just from our entire our defense for sure, but especially from our line. So yeah, it's not all bad, but just from an overall standpoint, like we just need to be more productive on defense. We need to find ways to create turnovers, but for some reason, it's just not happening right now.
Right. And I think that the 2021 team, especially, was really good at creating turnovers. And I feel like we haven't
Oh
really
yeah,
been good at creating turnovers since then. So something's got to change. Something's got to improve on that side of the ball. But at the same time, this offense is good enough to win you games, and the name of the game is scoring more points than the other team.
we had a segment last week on our show where we talked about, we need to stop talking about the Art Brow standard. Well, maybe this is what what the Art Brow standard is, because we're pretty much accustomed to high scoring games at this point with that. But again, it's just like, this team is what it is at this point.
Right.
So
I totally agree. Are you ready to talk about Kansas State?
yeah, I know that they played decently better since their bad start, but I don't know if I would say it's been good enough for them to actually be a contender. It sucks to see them kind of struggle, given that they've always been kind of the standard of the conference for probably the past what would you say, like 12, 13 seasons? Would you say
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I mean, to me, I think their struggles kind of started in with their quarterback, Avery Johnson. Like we always kind of bagged on Blake Shapen at times when he was still here. Well, he's had like the miscues that would make your scratch your head even more. So I think it really starts and ends with him.
Yeah, they definitely played better against UCF over the weekend. But this has been an up and down season for Kansas State, and I I hesitate to say that Baylor should cover the initial 7.5 point spread, but at the same time, we gotta start holding these guys to some higher expectations. And this Kansas State team has overall been bad this season. So yeah, I hope that Baylor beats them by more than 7.
Yeah. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I think this game's gonna be closer than the 6.5 point spread that it says right now. That's in Baylor's favor. But yeah, I mean, really, we just need to play better on defense, and um, yeah, I think if we do that, we should win this game by 14 at least.
Yeah, I'd really like to see the boys come out and play well. I thought it was really telling that Dave Aranda said that Bryson Washington was back at practice today, and that's going to be really important for us to
Yeah,
have a good game.
and I don't know if you heard this, but Lewis Brown is not playing for the rest of the season because he's redshirting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and while I told like it's not I don't want to say a huge loss because I mean he's part of a really good wide receiving core that I probably would put him like as the fourth or fifth best receiver. But I think it's great that he's redshirting because um, that way we can actually have him for 2026, where he might end up being the top guy for our receiving core. Now, if the play five in 5 years gets passed, that probably won't matter. especially when you consider that guys like Cole Wilson and oh gosh, who's the other one I was thinking of?
Kobe Prentice.
Kobe Prentice, yeah. It won't matter like that much, especially if those two are back. But still, like, I mean, it won't matter in the sense of, we get depth back. We get, a good receiver to be like the number 3, which is great. So I'm glad to see that. It sucks that he's not going to play for the rest of the year, but I think this was a smart move by Baylor.
Yeah, and he wasn't really playing that much and contributing too much, but he definitely will next year.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see that. I really looking forward to seeing Lewis Brown get more touchdowns next year.
Yeah, same here. But back to what we were saying about Kansas State, I guess really the one thing that I'm looking at is how much pressure we could put on Avery Johnson, because I think if there's one thing, aside from the lack of turnovers force, that has really caused a lot of us to get really frustrated with this defense, it's that we're either not getting pressure on the quarterback or we're just a second too late. If we're able to do that against Avery Johnson, I think this defense will play better than they did last week.
And I think we'd be remiss if we did not mention that this is a home game for the Bears. Really need to start winning our home games.
Yes.
Really need to start winning our home games. So I'm really looking for the Bears to come out and win against this home game.
100% agree with that. Like we said after the Arizona State game last week, we're 4-12 at home against Power 4 teams at home. That's got to be a better record. Now, I'm glad that we're 10-8 against Power 4 teams on the road, but it's like we need to start winning our home games if we're going to be taken seriously, not just for the conference, but just overall. Obviously, I don't think it really matters for the college football playoff standpoints unless we win the Big 12, which is still possible. But I'm not even thinking about that right now. I'd rather us play better, especially at home, so that way we can get to the Big 12 title game.
Yeah, and I really think the fans need to see them play better at home. I think the fans have been kind of out on the team at certain points during the year, and I think a loss at home would almost be catastrophic to fan support for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, because we talked about how bad the attendance is. Imagine if we lost to a team that we're supposed to beat at home. It
Right.
might be worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I definitely don't want to see that. Any more thoughts on Kansas State?
Really, I just want to win the game. Like that's all that matters to me. I know we've got players that are banged up. I know Bryson Washington has been that way, but I know he's okay. I hope our offensive line plays. I mean, they were actually pretty decent on Saturday, so I can't really bag on them a little bit. Really, just everyone on offense was good. I'm just hoping that we can apply that pressure on the defense that we've really been lacking. So as long as we do that, I think this could be a good day for Baylor.
Yeah, I really hope so. I really want to see us win at home. It's a gold out. It's an 11 a.m. Central kick, ESPN Plus. Really excited for the Bears to come out and show out against Kansas State.
Yeah, and hopefully the attendance is great.
I hope so. The Bears deserve it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they definitely do.
All right, so it's time to do some picks of the week.
All right. So before we go into our 5 picks, I've got a special one for us because the playoffs for baseball starting. Steven, who are your 2 World Series, the 2 teams making the World Series, and who's winning it all?
I got Dodgers, Yankees, and I got the Dodgers over the Yankees.
So you're going with the boring matchup.
I'm
kidding. You really can't go wrong with any of the 12 teams, but for me, I'm picking Blue Jays, Phillies. I'm picking Blue Jays to win.
I like that.
Yeah. Really, I think any of the 12 teams can win. I know the Tigers have been, they haven't been playing well, but it, the Rangers 2 years, Texas Rangers 2 years ago limped into the playoffs and still won it all. So anything
I
could
wouldn't be
happen.
surprised if the Brewers made some noise either.
Yeah, same here. Or the Mariners.
Or the
And
Mariners.
anyways, so to our actual picks of the week, so the first
Yes.
one that we're going to be picking is number 14 Iowa State at Cincinnati. That is a noon kickoff time on ESPN2. Cincinnati's favored by 1.5. Steven, you want to go first on this one?
Give me Iowa State. Give me the Cyclones. I know since he looked real good against Kansas, but I'm taking Iowa State.
I'm actually going to pick Cincinnati in this one.
Ooh.
I think with this being a home game for Cincinnati, they showed the grit that they had against Kansas, albeit, I know that this is not Iowa State's a different league than Kansas. I mean, Kansas is still pretty good. I also just don't think Iowa State has really been tested all that much this season aside from, I guess Iowa. So give me the Bearcats to win a close game against Iowa State.
All right.
All right, so the second one we're going to be picking from is, and I cannot believe this is College Game Day, number 16 Vanderbilt at number 10 Alabama. It's so weird that it's College Game Day with Vanderbilt being there, but it's a 3:30 kickoff on ABC. Alabama is favored by 10.5. I'm picking Bama in this one, but I think Vanderbilt is gonna beat the spread on this one. I don't think I think it'll be a close game, but I think Bama's gonna win by 7 in this one.
I'm also taking Alabama just on the premise that if Alabama loses to Vanderbilt, Kalen DeBoer might lose his job.
Yeah,
So
well, Kalen DeBoer might not be able to leave Tuscaloosa alive if they lose. So
yeah. So give me Bama because it's a must win.
yeah, it definitely is. All right, so the next game we're picking is number 11 Texas Tech at Houston. That is a 7 p.m. kickoff time on ESPN. Texas Tech is also favored by 10.5 points in this game. Steven, who do you have winning?
I have Texas Tech. Houston barely beat Oregon State last week. It took them overtime. Give me the Red Raiders.
Yeah, I'm picking the Red Raiders in this one too. It's fascinating what Houston has done so far to start the season, but they, again, just like Iowa State, they really haven't played that many teams. I mean, just kind of aside from probably one, which was Colorado, which even did. That's also a stretch. So give me the Red Raiders. I think they'll win by 14 in this one. All right, so the next one we've got is number 3 Miami, Florida, at number 18 Florida State. That is also a 7:30 kickoff time on ABC, and Miami is favored by 4.5 on this one. I'm going with the Canes. With all due respect to Florida State, I think they're bouncing back pretty well after the disaster that was 2024. I think Virginia exposed something in that team that Miami is going to expose even more. So give me the Canes in this one. I'm going to say they're going to win by 10 points.
Not so fast, my friend. I'm taking
Oh!
Florida State. Give me the Noles. I think the Noles caught a bad break going to Charlottesville. I think Virginia is a lot better than people think. And I think Miami plays with their food a little bit at some points during the season and some points during games. Give me Florida State.
I think it's too early for them to play with their food. Normally they collapse later on, but all right, well, we'll go with that. All right, so the last game we're picking, Kansas State playing your Baylor Bears. It is a noon kickoff time on ESPN Plus. Steven, what do you say?
Give me the Bears. Give me the Bears 34-21.
I'm okay, so I'm honestly surprised you'd actually pick them by that much.
Yeah, I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good in the Bears.
All right. Well,
feeling much better after, I don't think the Oklahoma State game was as catastrophic as others believe. I think they're getting on the right path. I'm ready to see the Bears win in McLean.
all right. Well, we'll go with that. Yeah, I think Baylor's gonna win this one. I think it's gonna be closer than what you say. In fact, I've got Baylor winning. I'll say 33-30 in this one. I just don't know which defense is gonna show up, but as long as the offense continues to play as well as they played this season, they should win this game.
Absolutely. I hope so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna say sick 'em Bears and later, guys.
All right. Sick 'em Bears. See y'all next
Sick 'em
week.
Bears later, guys.